travelers, welcome to Tripping with Amadi. If you're new to my channel, I revisit some of my fun and exciting times during my travel while I help you out on yours. In today's video, we are going to be talking about global entry and TSA pre-check. If this is something that you're interested in, stay tuned. Are you somebody who cannot stand waiting in long lines at the airport? If so, then this might be the video for you. So we're gonna be talking about global entry and TSA pre-check. We're gonna get all of that information and we're gonna talk about it. The first thing is, what is global entry and what is TSA pre-check? The definition for global entry is: global entry provides expedient U.S. customs screening for international air travel when entering the U.S. Global entry members also receive TSA pre-check benefits as a part of the membership. So, what is TSA pre-check? TSA pre-check provides expedient security screening benefits for flights departing from U.S. airports. So, the basics of both of them is: global entry is basically when you come back from an international flight, it is helpful. You don't have to wait in the long lines. You're essentially approved. And TSA pre-check is before you go to that international place. When you are in an American airport or a US airport to be specific, you get to skip that security line because you have been pre-checked. So with global entry, you get both the custom fast lane as well as the TSA pre-check. So let's talk about cost. So for global entry, it's gonna be $100 for 5 years. And for TSA pre-check, it's gonna be $78 for 5 years. Sounds pretty good. So just in full transparency, I do not have either of these, but I did this research because this is something that I am thinking about getting very, very soon. So I delved in and I looked up all this information because this is something that I personally want to do myself. And that's why I'm like, let's make this video. Let's kind of learn together. So now we're going to talk about the differences of the two. So TSA pre-check is basically, once again, it helps with security lines in American airports. So this has nothing to do with global customs and it has nothing to do with when you come back into the United States. But when we're talking about global entry, it has TSA pre-check within it, just for, if I'm doing my math right, just for $28 more. Or 22. Woo! Just for $22 more. So you'll get the customs. So once you come back into the United States from wherever you're traveling, you will get the custom fast pass, essentially, as what, like if you like go to Six Flags, you know, or any place like that, you know what I'm talking about. So you'll get a expedient experience when you're coming back from the U.S. Customs. And when we're talking about the U.S. Customs, those are the things of declaring, like, why did you go to that country? Was it for personal? Was it for travel? Was it for business? And then getting your passport restamped. So all of those people who are waiting in the line for U.S. Customs, you'll skip past that, as well as you'll skip past security for TSA. So a lot of people will say if you go on more than one flight a year, you should get it. But also it's convenient for if you're going on one flight a year, just to help you with that experience because it lasts 4 or 5 years. So how to apply? I'm also putting the link at the bottom of the CBP website where you will get all the information of how to apply. Basically, I'm running down what the website has provided, as well as it's a link for you to actually apply. If you're like, hey, I'm really serious, I got my money, I got things, like boom, let's get into it, then just click that link and that will be a place where you can apply for global entry. So the first thing is to create a trusted travel program account. So this account is putting in your information and getting started on the process. And that is going to be the account where you are going to actually apply for the global entry. Also, that account will be where you are going to be providing your $100 for that 5-year plan, essentially. The next part is scheduling an interview. So we're gonna go more in depth on what that looks like. And within this research, I also watched a video, and I'll put the link right here, and I also put it down below, by Style by Geneva. She goes through very eloquently, very great, and this was helpful for me to understand the process as well. She goes through the process of getting global entry. Once you schedule for an enrollment center, and what's really good is that enrollment centers can be found at most airports, and there's a website for you to sign up, and they do have, like, they renew their schedule every Monday. So if there are dates that you feel like are too far away and you're like, hey, I'm trying to get this as soon as possible, or maybe you have more patience, you're gonna get some new dates every Monday in your neighboring airport. And we'll also talk about like what happens if you don't want to go on those particular dates. But you sign up for a date for an enrollment center to have your interview. And lastly is completing your application. So you have to make sure that you bring your passport, as well as have another form of documentation to prove like residency. So that can be like your ID, like your driver's license is the quick and easy way for that, as an example. So let's talk about the process of actually doing the interview. So you can have the interview in one of two ways. The first one, like I said, you can click to see what enrollment centers have what availability in your neighboring airport. So there's around 500 enrollment centers within the United States. So you can pick from what is closest to you. You will set your interview date and then you'll go there. If I'm being holistically honest, that is one of the reasons why I hadn't done global entry before, because I'm like, I ain't really trying to have a meeting. I'm not really trying to do that. So that's really important. Also, if you're just thinking about doing TSA pre-check, there is some things that you have to do as well when we're talking about the process. That also includes the enrollment centers, but you also would get a background check as well as getting your fingerprints done. So for someone who works in education, I constantly get my fingerprints done, as well as background checks. So I am in somebody's system. So that's just really normal for me. But for someone who has not ever gotten their fingerprints done, it's really quick and simple. There's no ink. They use actual a machine. Similar, like you put your finger in and then you roll it over for your whole fingerprint and stuff like that, but it's pretty simple. Going back to the ways for the interviews. So like I said, you have your enrollment center, and you can do enrollment upon arrival. So this is a program that is basically like when you arrive back to the United States and or specific countries, and I'm gonna list them off, you could have that interview done on the spot. So some people might like that, and that probably might be my vibe too, because I don't like setting appointments to places. I don't like having to go to places, and it's just like having to go to the airport and then trying to find parking, and it's that just seems like a thing for me. So just rolling up on arrival, that seems more my speed. And these are the countries that you can also do the same thing as well. So you can do it in Aruba, Bermuda, Canada, Ireland, the Bahamas, and UAE. So these are particular locations that you can do your interview upon arrival. In terms of the interview, from what I've heard, it's 10 minutes or less. And here are some basic questions that they'll ask you. So basic information like your name, your address, what is the reason why you actually want to do the global entry membership? Also just confirming the information that you have placed on your application. And oh, this is something that I forgot to mention. Before you actually do your interview, you will be qualified as conditionally approved. So you are approved upon the condition that you have signed up for your global entry. And this is what you'll tell to people when you're actually in line at the airport. Once again, if enrollment on arrival is what you want to do. You'll say, hey, I'm conditionally approved for global entry. Where can I go to talk to somebody, or where can I go to have my interview? So you'll get an email after you're done applications, and sometimes the application to get conditionally approved can take up to 1 to 6 months, depending on like the traffic and the amount of people actually applying for it. So if you haven't received it in 3 days, don't be worried and be like, oh, something is wrong, something is happening. No, you're fine. Like, it does take a while for it to process, and if you are one of God's favorites, it'll only take a month. But going back into the questions that they'll ask. So like I said, they'll ask questions about your basic information, name, date of birth, where you're living, confirming information that's actually put on the application to make sure you are who you say you are, as well as asking why do you even want to do the global entry membership, details around your travel habits, as well as employment. So those are some basic questions that you'll receive when you have your interview. And like I said, your interview will be around 10 minutes. And then you will be approved. So the process is not hard, it's not arduous, but it's just like, you just have to have patience, and you just have to be knowledgeable of the purpose and the reasons why they're doing that, right? They can't just let any and everybody just be zooming past. They have to make sure that you are at low risk. So now there's a discussion about the pros and cons and what should you get versus TSA PreCheck or global entry. So now I'm going to put my personal opinion in there. I honestly think global entry makes the most sense, since you're going to get TSA PreCheck within it, and it's the same amount of time. Both of them are going to be 4 or 5 years, and then you'll have to renew. With TSA PreCheck, you'll have to, the renewal fee is $70. It's gonna be like the same thing if you get the global entry as well as the TSA PreCheck, because they're all in one package, just versus getting the TSA PreCheck. But if money is a thing, if you're just like, oh my God, this is an amazing thing, but I can't really afford it, I will suggest this app. This app is called MPC, and it's mobile. It's called like a mobile passport control, and I have been doing it for the last 2 international trips that I've done. And you fill it out in the airport as you're like getting to where you're getting. You just scan it on your phone and you get past customs. You still have to experience a long line for security when you're actually going to wherever country that you're going to. But when we're talking about customs, you will skip that whole line. So if you're trying to budget and you're like, oh, Madi, $100 is just not what I have right now, your alternative can be TSA PreCheck and also doing the MPC app, or you can just do this free MPC app, which is free. We love free, and just skip the custom line. But hopefully this was helpful for you. Hopefully this was knowledgeable. Please ask your questions on the bottom, because like I said, we're doing this research together. We're learning together, because I too want to get global entry, and I wanted to know all the information that is entailed with it. So hopefully this was helpful for you. I am here to help you out on all your travel journeys. If you find any interest in my content, make sure you peruse around on the channel and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.